Inconsistent chipping. We all have been there. The bad contact, the thin shots, the stubbing behind the ball. I found something that's really helping me, and maybe it'll help you. Chipping. It seems like they should be some of the most simple shots to execute, but I think everyone has struggled with them from time to time. Recently went and got a lesson from Matt Lohmeyer of Slick Golf down at Mansfield National Golf Club, and we worked on my chipping. And some of the things we worked on was getting some higher hands, was improving my path through the ball, and then keeping my weight kind of left on the ball. So I've been working on that, and it's helped. But I'm a golf fan just like yourself, and I'm aware of the cross-handed chipping that Matt Fitzpatrick does. And so I read a little blurb on that, and I thought, you know what? I don't think I've ever experimented with that. So I thought, I'm going to go out to the backyard and give it a try. So I did, and I was shocked. I was dumbfounded at how natural the motion seemed to be. And what I was most impressed was by the consistent contact that it produced. I thought, I'm going to experiment with this a little more. So a couple of the simple things that Matt and I worked on at Slick Golf was getting some higher hands, and then we wanted a straighter path through the ball. My natural path is kind of in to out, and he wanted me to kind of coming straighter back and through, not necessarily dead straight, but straighter back and through. So I read this little blurb on cross-handed chipping, and I went out to the backyard, and I could not believe how natural it felt and how good the contact was. So I thought, I'm bringing this out to the course. We're going to test this out a little bit more. And one thing that it really seems to help with is the things I worked on with Matt is it seems to kind of preset those things. So when you go cross-handed, and I'm just kind of using a overlap grip, nothing fancy here, but when you go cross-handed, it kind of naturally is setting my hands a little bit higher, and it kind of naturally straightens out my path. And another thing that I struggle with is not turning through the ball, kind of just get stuck here, flip your hands, can lead to all sorts of inconsistent contact. But one thing that this cross-handed seems to really help with is getting turned through the ball and just extending through the ball. It seems to naturally help that. So I was stupefied at how much better the contact was and how consistent the contact was. So just cross-handed kind of naturally sets my hands a little bit higher, and it kind of naturally just straightens out my path. And I have been most pleased with the results of this. And if nothing else, it's a good little training regimen to try to hit some decent chips and see what a good chip feels like. But it has worked so well in practice that I think I might stick with it. I have loved the contact that it produces. Just very pleased with the cross-handed chipping. So for me personally, it's helping out my contact. What I worked on with Matt when we were working on the higher hands and the straighter path, it's kind of just naturally helping me out with those things without having to manipulate much at all. Now, I haven't really done this much outside of 20, 30 yards. It pretty much is just happening around the green. Here's some split screen shots, some 8-iron chips, some 50-degree gap wedge chips, just some green side chips with a sand wedge, a 56-degree sand wedge. So just have been using it kind of around the green. I tried it a little further out, definitely was pretty awkward, but around the green, I'd say within 10, 20 yards, I think there's a function for it, and I'm going to keep experimenting with it. I've been very pleased with the consistent contact that it's producing, and I am shocked by it. I could not believe when I went out to my backyard, I thought, this is crazy. I've never done this in my life. Of course, I was aware of Fitzpatrick chipping cross-handed, but this was something I had never even attempted. Went out to the backyard, I was like, wow, that just feels really, really natural. So I'm going to give it a bit more go and practice a little bit with it. So I'm very pleased with this. I'd be curious to hear from you. Have you ever chipped cross-handed? Is it something you've experimented with? Some pros, cons of it? Has it helped you? Would love to hear from you in the comments below.